And joining me now is Bachar El-Halabi. He's a Middle East and North Africa geopolitical analyst at Clipper Data NYC. He joins us to talk to us about Prime Minister-designate Hariri's resignation. Good afternoon, Bachar. Thanks for joining the programme.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Now, Lebanon's Prime Minister-designate Saad Hariri stepped down on Thursday, citing key differences with President Michel Aoun after 9 months of political wrangling. Now, can you tell us about these disagreements which have led to his resignation?
Yes, thank you. Well, disagreements run really deep and they're extremely complicated, but mostly it's about the government formation, the shape and form of the government, which was primarily dictated by the French following the visit of the French President Emmanuel Macron to Lebanon directly after the August 4th explosion. It's sort of a roadmap was kind of carved out between the French side and the sectarian ruling elite in the country. They all agreed on it after the French president gathered them in the residence of the French ambassador in Lebanon. And at the time, it seems that everyone agreed on the form of the government, which kind of establishes an equilibrium between all the different Lebanese factions, but primarily between the Sunnis, the Shias, and the Maronites. It seems that the formation that Saad Hariri tried to present over 20 times to the current sitting president in Lebanon did not appeal to the president and did not, and actually is a breakaway from the government formation processes and the conventions established between the different sectarian groups in the country. So this is why, from one side, the president and his US-sanctioned son-in-law do not want to break from the previous conventions because this is where their interest lies, while the interest of the country right now is to actually form a government as per the French initiative in order to be able to restart discussions with the IMF and in order to tap into the $11 billion donor conference, which is the Saad Paris conference, which actually is owed to Lebanon, whether through soft loans or donations in general. So the reason, or the main reason why the president and his son-in-law refuse the government formation that Saad Hariri presented is because they know that the current president still has only a few months left in office, and he wants to ensure the political future of his son-in-law, who aims to kind of replace his father-in-law in the presidency. And this is how absurd the situation is right now. So the country is literally hedging and or basically lying on the interests of personal vendettas between the different ruling parties, while as the world knows by now, the situation is extremely bad. People are struggling. They're struggling from hunger, severe poverty. There's no medication, no electricity, and what have you. Everyone knows the rest of the story right now.
Okay, and that actually brings us to our second question. Now, what major implications will this bring for Lebanon, where the economy contracted by over 20% in 2020 and more than 55% of the population now lives below the poverty line? So things are just going from bad to worse, it seems.
Absolutely. And last night's step down by Prime Minister-designate Saad Hariri actually sent shockwaves among the people, although it wasn't a surprise because it felt like the fate of his designation was nearing an end. But everyone in Lebanon was kind of hanging some hope over a government formation because they know, or everyone knows, that this will be at least a stepping stone towards trying to start cushioning the extreme the extreme free fall that the country is going through, whether on the economic or financial side. Now we go back to square one. And yesterday, Saad Hariri had a pre-scheduled interview on one of the local TVs where he said that he won't name anyone or he won't designate anyone for the premiership. And this means that he might not even give the vote of confidence for the next government, which brings us back to square one, because in Lebanon, for a government to be able to implement reforms and to be able to make the hard decisions, everyone should buy in. All factions and all sects should buy in. If Hariri now is upset and he doesn't want to do that, he doesn't want to offer his vote of confidence, this means that no matter what shape or form the next government takes, it won't be able to fly due to this issue. So this means the Lebanese are literally hostages of the sectarian ruling elite, who is also hostage of its own decisions that led to the complete meltdown of the state, of the economy, of the society, of the social contract, and is now gearing up for new sanctions by the EU and possibly by the United States as well.
Okay, so sectarian tensions will likely flare furthermore now. Saad Hariri says Michel Aoun's union with Hezbollah is the root cause of all problems. Now, is there a possible solution in sight for this political class structure, or will the country fall into further chaos?
Well, definitely sectarian tension will rise up, because right now you have certain factions in the country who feel that others seem or appear more powerful and are trying to marginalize them. But the fact that you have in Lebanon a heavily armed sectarian militia is kind of a double-edged sword. From one side, this militia, which is Hezbollah, has controlled the state in all of its factions, but on the other side, no one dares go to war or head towards war, civil war, because of the extreme imbalance in the power and military structure in the country. So right now, this is the security situation, but this does not mean we will not see certain flare-ups and sectarian tensions around the country, which I hope that the military can step in and try to cool down in a way. On the other side, where are we heading? No one really knows, because apparently there is no understanding, or there's not even a vision by the people in power to provide certain solutions. And this means right now the two captains of the ship are basically Hezbollah and their Christian ally, President Michel Aoun. And this also shows you that although Saad Hariri, what he said is kind of right, but the issue runs deeper. It's not only President Michel Aoun who is the problem, it's also Saad Hariri that is the problem. It's also everyone who kind of pushed the country to reach this situation is the problem. But the main problem lies also in the party or the militia that controls all other parties in the country, and that it has regional extensions to Iran, which is Hezbollah. Because yesterday, also in his interview during the evening, Saad Hariri kind of hinted at Hezbollah's role by not pressuring their ally enough for them to succumb or for them to agree for the government formation that he kind of presented to Michel Aoun, which means Hezbollah did not play the role that it was hoped to play by Saad Hariri and the other factions to pressure Michel Aoun to agree to that government. And the reason for that is because up until the moment, Hezbollah understands the importance of its alliance with the main Christian group in the country, and it does not want to lose that. And it knows that if it pressured Michel Aoun and his political party hard enough, they might actually shift gears and change their alliances, possibly in the medium term in the country. And this is something that will come back to haunt Hezbollah if it loses this so-called Christian cover, whether inside the country or internationally. So this is everyone is kind of stuck in a bind. No one has an answer, and it seems that we won't see a government in the next few months in Lebanon unless it's a one-sided government, which was the case with the current caretaker government, which failed to implement any of the reforms. And this means that the misery and the desperation will only be on the rise. Lebanon will only be featured in breaking news, and only for bad reasons, unfortunately.
Okay, Bachar, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for that analysis.